Today I'm going to talk about school desegregation in the South. This presentation is mainly pictures with limited written information on the slides. As you listen, take notes on the main idea. At the end, write a short reflection on the process of school desegregation. After Reconstruction ended in 1877, many states passed laws that established racial segregation in public facilities. These laws were especially prevalent and restrictive in the former slave states of the South. In the landmark decision of Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896, the Supreme Court ruled that laws enforcing racial segregation were legal if the facilities provided for different races were equal. This was known as the separate but equal doctrine. In 1954, the Supreme Court overturned the Plessy decision in a landmark case known as Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka. In their unanimous decision, the court stated that, quote, separate educational facilities are inherently unequal, unquote, and ruled that segregation was unconstitutional. White leaders in the South decried the decision as an unjust intrusion by the federal government and vowed to resist any efforts to desegregate schools. In a separate ruling the following year, the Supreme Court declared that schools must desegregate with all deliberate speed. This ambiguous time frame allowed Southern states to delay implementation of the court's ruling, and schools in some areas of the South remained segregated for nearly 2 decades after the ruling. In 1955, the school board in Little Rock, Arkansas, drew up plans to gradually integrate its schools starting in 1957. School officials selected 9 African American students who had strong academic records to be the first to integrate the previously all-white Little Rock Central High School. This group of students became known as the Little Rock Nine. Before the start of the school year, a segregationist group known as the Mothers League of Central School High School convinced a county official to block the integration of the school, claiming that integration would lead to violence. A federal judge then nullified the county official's decision and ordered that the integration of the school proceed immediately. Arkansas Governor Orville Faubus was opposed to the integration of Central High, and he called out the Arkansas National Guard to prevent the students from entering the school. President Eisenhower was angered over the governor's defiance of the federal courts and called the governor to meet with him over the issue. In the meeting, Faubus promised Eisenhower that he would allow the integration of Central High. However, he continued to defy the federal courts when he returned to Arkansas, and he refused to protect the students from angry mobs of protesters that gathered outside the school each day. President Eisenhower was outraged by Faubus's actions and decided to nationalize the Arkansas National Guard so that Faubus could no longer use them to block access to the school. He then called up the 101st Airborne Division of the U.S. Army and ordered them to surround the school to ensure the students' protection. Soldiers served as armed escorts when the Little Rock Nine entered the school for their first full day of classes on September 25, 1957, and remained on campus throughout the year to provide security. Despite the Army's presence, the Little Rock Nine continued to face threats, violence, and harassment throughout the school year. Many white Southerners were angered by Eisenhower's use of federal troops to force a state to comply with federal law. Some also feared that it would spark widespread violence and rebellion in the South, but this never came to pass. However, the integration of Central High led to ongoing protests, and the Little Rock Nine experienced intense hostility from other students. Any questions? Be sure to bring any questions you have with you to class for clarification. Also, don't forget to write the reflection about the process of school desegregation. I'll see you soon.